I am Jeff. This is my Potter's Journal. Today in the pottery we will be making some lanterns. A very simple garden design that most people might put citronella candles in. I've put electric ones in here. We are celebrating Independence Day week, so we will close out with some fun at the pool at the end. Okay, but to start, let's see what is in the kiln today. What is in the kiln today? Well, it is the pots of summer. The pots of summer, I don't know, they could be year-round too. Luminaria, little lanterns, but great for outside, on a picnic table. Something that you maybe put a citronella candle in to keep the bugs away. Now, I tried to make these fairly simple. This has 1, 2, 3, 4 sides cut into it. And the rest of them, I did manage to make it even simpler with 1, 2, 3, because most of the luminaria that people make are so filled with fine craftsmanship, fine cutting out little openings that they should be priced way above what most people are willing to pay for a pot. So my theory was, this is just garden pottery, fairly simple to keep it that way, cut with a cookie cutter. Maybe I will demo in between, okay, this top shelf and half shelf and the next shelf down, how I do that. I have 2 sizes. That's one of my tricks in making, okay, people say, oh, I like this price, or I like the detail in this one. Maybe I should do the more elaborate one. Now on these, it looks a little bit thin. I use these an oatmeal blend. I dumped a tan glaze into an oatmeal that I had, and the standard sea mist on the top. I dipped it in that way, and because the holes are there, okay, there's no overlapping. This is just the sea mist. And there is a band of, it's a good place to practice your trailing with the squeegee, a band of black slip there. So, some practice on some garden pots before we make something more elaborate. Okay, and these were not fired. Pat's pot page. Not fired with the tops on. I already opened the kiln and peeked before you were here and put those on. Now, when I put them on, they sometimes pop right out, but this has been sitting here actually for a couple days, and I put it in and they did relax. So if you make them and it slowly pops out like that, the little, okay, it's not a cork. It's not a cork. It's got, yeah, these little things on here that sometimes need to be put in there and allowed to relax. So if you take them right to a show, right to a show, you might be in trouble, but they need to relax first. And the sea mist, actually a little bit too thin, a band of black slip, and then combed through. So relatively simple, only 1 colored glaze. Let me see, it's not exactly the way I like it. Oh, and sometimes you have to make something. Sometimes you have to make something just for yourself. And this is my favorite glaze, a green, kind of celadon-like, and a large jar. How big is that? It's about 9 inches. Maybe you can't necessarily tell. I had a lot of ideas about how to decorate it, the same way I did those olive oil jars. Or I finally said, you know, I did 3 of these, and I decorated 2 like that. They're sold. I finally fired this one. Sometimes you have to say, I'm just going to do it for myself. I'm just going to do it for myself, and you have to be bold about it. So this was combed through like that, and like that, and like that. And then I guess later I came through and did that. So sometimes you just have to do it for yourself. and you'll be glad. Okay, I'll be sorry when it sells. That it's something that I like, this piece. Okay, and the pots of summer. I've got a half shelf in here, and we barely managed to get this in there. The pots of summer for the lanterns on the table are also pots of winter. The garlic grater olive oil dipping plates, great for outdoor patio. So both things good on the picnic shelter, but both good to sell at the markets year-round. I don't take the same thing. It's a farmer's market. I can't always take everything, so I try to change it up for the season. I try to make stuff new all the time and different, things that I might not make again, but also things that are for maybe a particular season and make a big show of them. Otherwise, since people are there every week, they think you have the same thing all the time, so change it up by the season. Okay, we'll get further down in here. Maybe first I'll show you how I did. And to make this lantern, you will need a vase, or if your skill level is a cylinder, or any shape you want, and a simple cookie cutter. Now, this one is in the shape of a fireworks starburst that you could also use it for making cookies on the 4th of July with red, white, and blue coloring. So all we do is push it on there, and okay, it's really not as easy as you might think. You have to work your way around by pushing pressure up from the inside and down from the outside, and work your way around. Okay, with a very soft state of leather hard until you get to the very last starburst, and then just simply pull it out. Now, I decided that 3 of these shaped around there was enough, because everybody does the very expensive, elaborate ones that you put 1,000,000 holes in and would have to charge hundreds for, and they're so delicate you're liable to break them yourself in the process. Now, this could be sponged off. If you do see garden import pottery, they often leave it rough in there, but I don't think we could get away with that. So I have just been taking the fettling knife and rounding off, okay, on the inside, going round, and the same thing on the outside, and then going over it with a sponge. Okay, and do that 3 times, and you've got a lantern. Do it once, you've got an even cheaper lantern. And 3 seems to be the right amount around there for me. Okay, after cutting, I'll just go over these with a sponge. Another kind of garden pottery is flower pots. I never seem to make the right kind. Wolff Pottery has taken on the challenge of making a different pot every day for a month. Maybe that's what I should do. I'm going to send you over to his channel today with a link. Okay, let him know I sent you. And, okay, we'll get back to the kiln opening and close out with the fun, and the water never ends with my new dog, Brute. And more of the garlic grater dipping plates. I have 3 sizes now. And the sea mist with the black slip underneath. This is why I keep the glaze thin, so the black slip shows through. It kind of barely does. I'll have to take some notes to make it let it get a little thicker next time. And with my green glaze, the slip under, this time a real tight squiggle with the dots real close together. And another test, the pink shadow from Standard Ceramics. This is over a white slip, so maybe a little too light. Wasn't enough room to get the black. And the 3rd size on the garlic grater dipping plates. You know, these little ones? People like buying them. Okay, and you know, here's the Standards sea mist. Relatively thin, a little thicker. Here it is layered over a couple other glazes, so thicker, and one of them actually might be itself. You know what, that's nice. I maybe need to start taking my glazes back and making them a bit thicker. I'm going to have to mix up 2 buckets of this. One thinner and one thick. And here it is looking like, well, not that one, but here it is looking like 2 different glazes. But it's same glaze, maybe different thickness, different clay body, and applied on a different day to a different thickness clay. And let's get further in here. And here we go. Top, a bit warmer, and the bottom. Didn't really notice much difference in the glazes today. I didn't have any of the ones that were difficult in here. And what was I saying about having things at different sizes? Okay, I do have small luminarias. These are designed in the shape of the, outdoor patio garden candles, generally made out of glass, but with the ceramics with the holes in the side. I couldn't find the punch that I used on the larger ones, so I just used a biscuit cutter and the same glaze combination. But so I do have 2 sizes, but I think 2 now. I do want to make maybe one a bit more elaborate. And this combination, the glaze, all simple, plain, basic. I didn't want to make 20 different options. I only made a small handful of these, so they're all the same. If somebody wants to line a whole group of them up down a picnic table, they will match. We'll have to give them a test run, put the citronella candles in there, and see if they really do keep the mosquitoes away. And I am going to say, I think maybe I need to let the glaze get a little bit thicker. A little bit thicker. Our other summer living item, the berry colanders. I still have a handful from last year, so I don't need to do a new batch. But here's the sea mist. I think this is both a bit thicker again, and possibly, okay, on a lighter clay body. But I think the big difference is a bit thicker. So, same glaze, looking like 2 different glazes out of the same kiln. And more of the oil pour bottles. Let's see, this is the new size. I made the openings. And look at that. The new size stays in there pretty nice. And again, my favorite glaze. It always looks beautiful. A bit more classy and classic, but I'm not going to argue with, okay, the success of the blue. Or is it really more of an aqua? I don't usually, I occasionally put maybe a refire in every kiln load. If, well, hopefully I don't have refires, but this is one. I wish I knew the combination on the top. One is the sea mist, but I don't know if something is over it. You know what? I think it might have been sea mist up here. I don't know what down there. And then I dipped the whole thing in that oatmeal blend. So there's some interesting stuff up there. Very earthy. But I like a little, the earthy and a little color is kind of the theme and the direction I've been going. Brutus! I think he's gonna save me. You're my boy too now, huh? Are you gonna save me? Oh, you got me! I'm saved! You're a good boy, Brutus! The fun never ends with Brute, and with our fireworks cookie cutout should we make some kind of ornaments? Stop back and see what's going on in the studio next week.